Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're focusing on something, well, pretty profound, really, the journey of expectant motherhood.
And specifically, how something as simple as a journal can play a surprisingly big role.
Exactly. Pregnancy is such a transformative time, right? Full of massive changes, a whole spectrum of emotions.
Absolutely. Highs, lows, anxieties, pure joy, it's all in there.
So if you're looking to kind of cut through the noise and get a real handle on why journaling helps during this time, well, that's what this deep dive is for. We've done the legwork.
Yep, sifted through the info to pull out the core insights for you.
And, regular listeners will know we've looked at Listallion journals before. We're familiar with them.
We are, and their design really seems to click for this kind of reflective practice.
Definitely. When you think about the features in the context of pregnancy, it makes sense.
Take the paper, for instance, that 120 GSM ivory paper. It's thick.
Right. So no ink bleeding through or smudging, which, might seem small, but if you're feeling nauseous or just trying to jot something down quickly,
It makes the actual act of writing smoother, less fussy, and the soft faux leather cover.
oh yeah, that tactile comfort. That can be, well, really grounding when everything else feels like it's changing.
It can. Okay, so the mission today. Understand why a journal notebook is more than just paper and binding for expectant mothers.
Let's dive in. First stop, the emotional journey. It's often called a roller coaster, and for good reason.
Totally. There's excitement, sure, but also uncertainty, anxiety about what's coming, maybe even fear.
All of that. It's a huge adjustment. And that's where journaling comes in, providing this dedicated private space.
Mm-hmm. A place to just let it all out, to process those really complex, sometimes contradictory feelings without, any judgment.
When you write it down, it's almost like you give it form, doesn't it? It's not just swirling in your head anymore.
Exactly. You externalize it. And that simple act of naming the feeling, acknowledging it on paper, can actually dial down the intensity a bit.
It promotes that emotional well-being, which is so crucial during pregnancy.
Yeah, definitely.
It makes me think of my sister, Emily. First baby, usually super organized, but pregnancy it threw her emotionally.
Oh, yeah. How so?
Well, she felt this pressure, to be glowing and happy all the time. But underneath, she was actually quite anxious about a lot of things.
Things she didn't feel she could maybe talk about easily.
Exactly. Her midwife suggested journaling. And honestly, Emily was skeptical at first, like, oh, great, another thing to do.
I can imagine.
But she started small. Just a few minutes, sometimes just a word describing her mood.
Mm-hmm.
And she told me later it became this lifeline, this completely safe space to admit she felt overwhelmed or scared. It provided this huge sense of relief just getting it out.
That's a perfect example, that consistent private release. Okay, so beyond the emotional side, there's the whole practical aspect too, right? Pregnancy involves a lot of planning.
Oh my goodness, yes. Appointments, tests, tracking things. A journal can become like a central command center.
A pregnancy planner, essentially.
Totally. Think about doctor's appointments, ultrasounds. You need to track dates, remember questions, write down what the doctor said.
And keep it all in one place, not scattered notes everywhere.
Right. And symptoms, morning sickness, fatigue, those weird cravings.
Journaling helps you spot patterns there, doesn't it? Like maybe you notice your nausea is worse after certain foods or when you're tired.
Exactly, which helps you manage it better.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's the fun stuff, like nursery ideas, baby shower planning.
Birth plans, hospital bag checklists, deciding between, say, vaginal birth or a C-section, all those details.
Budgeting, too. Baby gear, postpartum stuff. It adds up.
And this is where those Listallion features really shine, the built-in table of contents, the numbered pages.
Ah, yeah. So you can easily find your appointment notes from week 12 or jump straight to your birth plan section.
Makes it super organized. And the back pocket, perfect for appointment cards, maybe an ultrasound picture.
Little scraps of inspiration for the nursery.
Yeah,
it turns it into a proper organizer.
It really does. A one-stop shop.
I remember helping a friend plan her baby shower way back when, before these kinds of dedicated journals were maybe as common.
Oh, yeah. Chaos.
Total chaos. Sticky notes everywhere, lists on napkins. Trying to coordinate the guest list and gifts was a nightmare.
Uh-huh. Been there.
Having one structured journal like that would have saved so much stress.
It really reduces that mental load, right? When there's already so much else going on. Okay, so how does this change through the pregnancy, the trimesters?
Good question. Each one has its own focus, its own challenges.
First trimester. Often that's about dealing with those intense early symptoms, yeah. And just adjusting emotionally.
Right. So journaling then might be more about tracking how you feel physically,
Yeah.
day to day, noting the morning sickness, the tiredness.
Which, again, helps you understand your body better and gives you concrete info for your doctor. You might spot those triggers or patterns.
Exactly. Then, the second trimester often brings a bit more energy.
Usually, yeah. The golden trimester for some.
So the focus might shift more towards planning, brainstorming nursery themes, researching strollers, organizing shower details. The journal becomes a project planner.
Capturing all those ideas before they vanish.
Totally. And then, third trimester, things get real.
Uh-huh. Labor prep, maybe birthing classes, final checklists.
Finalizing that birth plan becomes key. Journaling can be huge here for working through anxieties about labor, clarifying your wishes.
Reducing stress by feeling prepared.
Definitely. And looking back across all 3 trimesters, that consistent record, it builds this incredible personal narrative of the whole journey.
It's that cumulative story. It's not just isolated moments, which brings us back to personal stories like your sister's.
Yeah, or actually, I was thinking about a colleague, Sarah. She also found journaling incredibly helpful, maybe in a slightly different way.
Tell me more.
She had some health complications during her pregnancy, so there was a lot of fear and uncertainty involved. She actually used a Listallion journal, and she mentioned specifically how the soft cover felt comforting to hold during anxious moments. And the pages, those 7.5 millimeter lines, felt easy to write on even when she was physically exhausted.
That makes sense. The physical object itself providing comfort.
Right. And she said writing down her fears, even the ones that felt maybe irrational or silly to say out loud, it helped her feel less alone with them, like the journal could handle it.
A safe confidant.
Exactly. And she used the numbered pages and table of contents, like we talked about, to organize questions for every single doctor's appointment.
So it helped her feel more prepared, more in control.
Precisely. When so much else felt out of her control, that organization was empowering.
That's a great illustration of how the features support both the emotional and the practical needs.
And she didn't stop after the baby arrived. She kept journaling.
Into the postpartum period. That's really interesting.
Yeah, she said it was invaluable during those first few wild weeks. Tracking feeding, sure, but more importantly, processing the massive emotional shift.
Oh, absolutely. That postpartum phase is a whole new journey.
She wrote about the incredible love, but also the sheer exhaustion, the moments of doubt, acknowledging the whole messy, beautiful reality of it.
Without feeling like she had to pretend everything was perfect.
Exactly.
Like continuation is so key because the journey doesn't end at birth. There's recovery, bonding, adjusting.
It's intense.
Journaling provides that same grounding then, reflecting on how you're feeling, physically and emotionally, noting the baby's little milestones, the rewarding moments, the challenges.
It's a way to navigate it all.
And having a familiar, comfortable journal like the Listallion she was already using, it just makes it easier to keep up that self-care practice.
That soft cover again, maybe nice to hold during a late-night feeding while you jot down a thought.
Could be. It becomes part of the healing and adjustment.
So when you put it all together, a pregnancy journal is just so much more than a notebook.
It really is. It's self-expression, it's organization, it's emotional support, it's memory keeping, all rolled into one.
And the Listallion ones with that specific design focus the quality paper, the cover, the organizational bits. They really facilitate that whole experience. Make it smoother, maybe more fulfilling.
They seem tailored for it rather than just being a generic notebook you happen to use.
Right. So, if you're expecting or you know someone who is, maybe think about a journal. It's more than just a gift. It's an invitation.
An invitation to connect with yourself during this incredible time and to create something really precious for the future.
Definitely a treasure trove of memories.
So here's a final thought to leave you with. Beyond just recording what happens day to day, what deeper insights might you uncover about your own resilience, your growth, the whole shift into parenthood, if you commit to that consistent journaling practice during pregnancy and beyond?
Something to ponder. What might you discover about yourself? A powerful question.